know a lot of people in my life who they've accepted that winter is their whole life.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they've been in a winter season for the last 30 years. Like,
yeah.
And I think it's important to note, like, that you do have control over your seasons to some degree. Like, some things are out of your control. You can't really control if there's a blizzard outside. You can't control it. But what you can control is your attitude and what you're going to do about it. You're going to sit in your house and you're going to cry about it? Or are you going to go get a shovel and dig your way out of a blizzard?
Put in the work
And do what it takes.
Yeah. Welcome to the Good Seed Podcast. I'm Allie.
And I'm Rachel.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Today we wanted to talk to you guys about just seasons of life. I think that Tony Robbins is one of the main big people, big name out there that talks a lot about seasons of life and how the year is broken up to different seasons. So yeah, we just wanted to kind of dive a little bit
unpack that and how it's applied to our lives too.
Yeah.
And kind of what you can anticipate. I think this is so key. We'll break it down on how he frames out the different seasons, the 4 seasons of life and of the year and all those things. But a lot of the time, life is just, nothing's permanent, right? It's just riding the highs and riding the lows. But whenever I think you come in with the mindset of knowing that it's going to be temporary no matter what, it just changes your decision-making process. It changes your thought process.
Your mindset completely.
It changes your entire mindset. Yeah. So I'll bring up the Tony Robbins seasons here. So I think this is also cool because this is part of the reason why we called this the Good Seed Podcast, because we're all about a lot of the things that we talk about go back to kind of the changes. You have to plant a seed and nurture the seed, water the seed. You will then get the fruits of your labor later. There's a lot of biblical references to this, but a lot
season, so it can
right. And I think it all ties back into the seasons of life as well. Yeah. So it's just kind of a cool theme to go off of, kind of with nature and that sort of thing. So, so I'll go through the 4 different seasons and we can kind of break these down. So the first season is winter. So this is a season of challenge and of reflection. So this represents your tough times, your setbacks, uncertainty, and it's a time for reflection, resilience, and preparation for future growth. And of course, this won't last forever either. Then spring is opportunity and growth. So this is planting seeds and taking action. And so this is the time to take advantage of opportunities and set new goals. Summer, which is nurturing and hard work, is a period of hard work, persistence, and nurturing the seeds that you have planted and making sure that you maintain your focus and you don't get complacent during this time. Fall or autumn is harvest and reward. So this is a time of reaping the rewards from your efforts. And this is a season where you should focus on gratitude, reflection, and on accomplishments and preparation for the next winter. So for you, Allie, do you, what season do you feel like you're in right now?
I feel like I'm still in winter.
Yeah.
One of the things that really got me to reflect in this episode was my last few months. I think that it broke me, and whenever I'm comfortable enough, I'll be able to share, and we can do an episode about the past year. But the last few months really broke me because, again, it was that season, right? And I hadn't gone through that in almost 3 years. So I feel one of the main things about winter that you have to keep your eyes set, it's in the vision that everything is a skill. And the only way you can perfect a skill is through practice. And this is where winter comes in, because I think one of the main things that really defines who I am as a person is my resilience. Like I've come to see it and believe it and be confident because I see myself getting out of things and picking myself up back and like keep just that move forward mentality. So I have data that proves that I'm resilient, right? I'm not just saying it. But how did I get so resilient? I think it's because of the practice that life has given me the opportunity to perfect this skill, right? So the past few months, I think, have been winter. I think I feel like I'm more into the ending of the season now, but I'm still in it, very much so. And when you break, when life happens and you crumble to the ground and you have no other option but to pick up the pieces, glue them back together, and keep going, and you do it again and again and again, you're gonna get to the point where you'll be like, I got this. I got this. This is a season. This is temporary. This is not gonna last forever.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of bittersweet, right? Because you know that you have to practice to get to that point.
Right.
Which means that you have to be able and willing and open to the possibility of being broken. And that's really hard.
That is hard.
Because you will always try to stay safe and protect yourself, right? So it's very bittersweet. But if you could take something positive out of the winter season, is that first, it doesn't last forever because nothing does. And second, you're practicing and you're building that muscle.
Yeah.
Right? So the more you practice it, the better you get at it. And you know that when the next winter comes, you're probably not going to dwell in it so much. You're probably not going to hurt so much. Why? Because you come from a worse time.
Yeah.
And you went through that and you're here today. Right? So I believe that's the season I am in right now. And it sucks to say, but that's what life is about.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like that is life. Like if your goal in life is to be happy forever, like tough luck, buttercup. Like it's a really hard goal to reach. So it's just part of life. And the more you're aware of it and the more you accept it, the better you get at it. And then you're just like, okay, let's go. Pick yourself back up. You already know how this goes. Let's start. Like, pick yourself back up. The longer you wait to do that, the longer you'll be in the season.
Yeah.
Right? Just pick yourself back up, figure it the fuck out, and let's go. So that's where I believe I really am at right now. But I do believe I'm in the midst of like finally walking out of.
It's almost spring.
Yeah, it's almost spring.
Almost spring, yeah.
What about you? Where are you at?
I think I'm in spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely went through a winter period a month or so ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like I'm in spring. Like I feel like I am through kind of the darkest times, and like now I really am planting seeds. Like I'm nurturing and watering the seeds. Like right now I'm really putting in the work. But I'm like really excited for like the things ahead and like what the year's gonna hold. But I feel like I'm in spring right now. Yeah. So I feel like I'm in a really good place. Something that you said a minute ago, I guess like my mind went to, whenever we think of this in context of the weather, we have no control over the weather. But whenever you go through a season personally, do you feel like you have a level of control over that? Or how much control do you feel like you have?
Yeah, I think that you have as much control as you allow yourself to have. So if you're one of these people that is just willing to let life happen to you, and I'm just going to flow towards where the wind blows, then yeah, you're probably going to be thinking, oh, there's no way that I can control this, right? But when you get control back, and by this I mean mindset wise, emotion wise, like you can control your emotions, Like, that is doable. You just have to, again, it's a skill that you develop with time and practice, right? So put in the work. Put in the work and whatever that means for you. So I think I'm not too optimistic and not too, like, I'm not a negative person. Yeah. I'm very realist. Like, I'm just like, these are facts and this is data and these are the patterns that got me here. So how can I break this pattern and how can I control my outcome moving forward, right? So life will happen to you, but what actions are you going to take to control your outcome from it, right? So I guess it comes back to like mindset and just being aware of it, because when you're aware that you don't know what you don't know. So there's probably people out there that are way too emotional and way too in their feelings, and they feel like they have to feel all the feels and communicate what they feel to absolutely everyone else because it's a feeling and it's an emotion and it's who I am. And yeah, we're emotional beings to a degree, right? So figuring out what that means for you, controlling your emotions, I think goes a really long way, because mindset is everything. If you don't control your mind, you can't control your outcome. Yeah. So if you can control your mind and we can do a whole nother episode about this, but if you can control your mind, you can raise your vibration, and you're a magnet, so you'll attract. Right? So if your vibration is really low and you're in a depressive state because you're going through winter, who you attract is going to be on the same vibration as you, right? So that's a whole nother thing. Into energy-wise, like, we're energetic beings. And it doesn't really matter the religion or your belief system. That's just science, and it is what it is, right? So I think that mindset goes a long way. I think that if you can get your mindset straight, you can get your energy straight, which rises your vibration. Yeah. And then if you can make the most out of the worst time in your life, trust me that the rest of life is a walk on the park. Like, again, it comes through struggles, but when's enough? How bad do you want it? And how much pain are you willing to tolerate in that time frame, so you can actually push yourself and walk into the next season? The only way out is through. Yeah. Right? So yeah, that's what I think. That's how I think you can best control your outcome.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people in my life who they've accepted that winter is their whole life. Yeah. Like, it's like they've been in a winter season for forever. The last 30 years. Like, yeah. And I think it's important to note, like, that you do have control over your seasons to some degree. Like, some things are out of your control. You can't really control if there's a blizzard outside. Can't control it. But what you can control is your attitude and what you're going to do about it. You're going to sit in your house and you're going to cry about it? Or are you going to go get a shovel and dig your way out of a blizzard?
Put in the work.
And do what it takes. Yeah. And so I think that's, like, so important to note is, like, yes, you can't always change, like, you don't always control your conditions, but you can control your actions.
Absolutely.
Which in turn controls your outcome. Yeah. So if you're in a season of winter now, like, you feel like everything's hard, you're depressed, you're not in a good place, like, put forth the actions. Like, what will it take to get you out of this hole? What will it take for you to make the most of this blizzard or this season?
What can you do today?
Right.
And it really starts with one action, like, especially people that are really into like a really hard time right now. It really just takes one action. And the consistency behind it will determine your outcome. Yeah. Right? So again, the practice, skill set, it's the same thing. It's the same concept if you think about it. So consistency behind the action. And also, we were just talking about this a little bit ago. It's the speed. Like, from what you think you want to what you want, the only thing in the middle of that, it's the speed. How long does it take for you to actually put in the action?
Yeah. How quickly can you make decisions, and how quickly do you act upon them?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because that's going to determine how long you stay there. Right. So I saw this video from Layla Hormozi the other day, and she was like, I've had multiple therapists and I was going through a really hard time. I believe it was a breakup. was going through a breakup. I went to this new therapist and she told me, and I told her that like by stats, they say that it takes double the amount of time that you dated someone to get over them, right? Like this is like supposedly stats, like data and science, right? And this therapist told her, she was like, this could stop tomorrow. Like this pain and this, like this hurt and this depression, this could all start tomorrow. And it could also stop right now. And Layla was like, this is impossible. I'm dying, you know? And the therapist just told her, no, it's what you put your mind to. So it's literally you're in control. The only one in control of your mindset is yourself.
Right.
So, and Tony Robbins is another advocate of this, is what you focus on.
Right. Where you focus, energy flows. Is
Right.
What he says all the time.
Right, all the time. So it's literally what you focus on, right? So if you're going to focus on the breakup, on the, oh my gosh, the anguish, oh my gosh, I miss them so much, oh my gosh, I'm never going to find someone like that again. Yeah, you're never gonna, because you're focusing on that. But if you're like, hey, you know what? I actually learned a lot from this relationship. It made me into a better person. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe it taught me like exactly where not to look at.
Yeah.
Or da-da-da-da. Guess what? You're building yourself to like get the best outcome out of your next relationship because you're focusing on the positives. Right? So I think, again, like mindset goes a long way.
In the reflection period, you're talking about the reflection. Like when you're in a winter season, he mentioned that like you need to reflect. Like what got you there? What did you learn? What are we going to do better next time?
How are we not going to end up here again?
Right.
In terms of this aspect of life.
Yeah.
So, it goes through practice. And I believe that's really anchored to like intelligence as well. Like if you're an intelligent person, you're not going to need to hit yourself in the head with the same rock like so many times to learn your lesson, right? So don't be stupid. Like just don't be stupid. You know, like
learn the lesson the first time.
Yeah, how many times do you have to go through the same crap again and again and again to learn your lesson?
Yeah. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Right. History repeats itself. So it's like if you're seeing a pattern, and I believe that I'm really good at that, like finding patterns and breaking patterns because, again, of my analytical brain. But when you get into the habit of figuring out patterns and noticing like, okay, crap, this past year, this is what I did constantly that got me to the same place again and again and again. How do I break this? And it's probably just starve it. And then you figure out a new way to do that thing, right? So again, like pattern finding goes a long way as well into, I guess, getting prepped for winter time. And it goes a long way when you get good at it, right? And then whatever is not working for you, just remove all of your energy and attention towards, just fast it. Like the Bible talks about this, right?
When you say fast it, what do you mean
fasting?
by that?
Like when you fast, you're not doing like when I fast, let's talk about nutrition. When I fast, I'm not eating, right? So
is it like a deprivation of a
thing?
It's
a deprivation. Yeah, that's
Is that
the
what
perfect
you mean by
word.
fasting?
Yeah. Yep. So you fast it, right? You deprive yourself from it, but you have to go all in, right? So the emotion that you're feeling, let's talk about an emotion. The emotion that you're feeling that's gotten you into this depressed state, you have to deprive yourself from it. And for example, in depression and let's say anxiety, if in this actually science-backed data, if you're grateful, you can't be anxious. So if you're a person that right now is deep into depression and has really bad anxiety about the future or what your current living situation is or whatever you're going through, start being grateful. Right? So the easiest thing to be grateful for is to breathe.
Yeah, for life.
Yeah, like if
Another
you
day
woke
of
up
life.
this morning, you're better off than a really high percentage of people that didn't get to make it today.
Right.
Right? So, and this guy, Bradley, he has this awesome theory about this. And he says, if I could tell you right now that I'm going to give you $10 million, like, are you going to be excited?
Yeah.
right? You're going to be pretty excited, right?
Heck yeah.
If I could tell you right now that the only way I give you $10 million is if you don't wake up tomorrow, you're going to take the $10 million?
Heck no.
Probably not, right?
No.
So why don't you act every day like if you did have $10 million? Why don't you wake up with the mindset and excitement of like, that's life, you know? You have a way. The only thing you can't come back from is death.
Right.
So as long as like if someone right now out there is like, I have nothing to be grateful for. Just the fact that you're watching us, by the way, like you're better off than a lot of freaking people. So just the fact that you're actually watching us and that you have oxygen in your lungs and that you woke up today and that you can see and that you can hear, let's say, just that plain simple fact is enough to be grateful. And you walk into that mindful state of like being grateful, automatically your brain cannot be anxious. This is science, right? So being grateful is a great way to go about these hard times in life. And also, I think counting your blessings, because we're too worried about counting the things that we're missing and worried about the things that we don't have. And we really forget to just count our blessings.
Oh, yeah.
And we're surrounded by them, right? Yeah. So I think that for winter time. Now let's talk a little bit about like fall. So good times, you're reaping the benefits of all your hard work. What do you think is a good mindset to have around that good, great, abundant season?
I think it's really important to know, like, this too shall pass. First of all, and that's a great quote. I've had that in the back of my head for probably the last decade of my life. Of like, this too shall pass. Like, everything in life is temporary. In good seasons, this too shall pass. In bad seasons, this too shall pass. Right. But I think that whenever you are on a peak and you're on a high, maybe you're making a lot of money, or your business is really successful, or you're in a great relationship, or you just got this amazing house, or whatever it is, I think that you need to realize that this too shall pass. I think people can get too big for their britches. Have you heard that saying?
Yes.
Okay. I think people can get too big for their britches, and they just think that they're invincible. But you can be knocked down just as fast as you got there. Yeah. Right? And so I think that that's really important to keep in mind, to just like stay humble. Like stay grateful, stay humble, and enjoy it. Right. Right? Like enjoy this. Like you put in the hard work. Like now you're in this really good place. You should enjoy this. But you should also be preparing for winter, right? So if you've made a lot of money, you probably shouldn't be spending every dime that you made. You probably should be saving, right? Like if you, are in a great relationship, like great, enjoy it. But know that even the greatest relationships are going to have their highs and their lows. Right. So I think just knowing what is coming, like anticipating that, not in a negative way, but from being like a factual way. Yeah. Like I think a lot of the times, like we think that winter is bad, therefore it's a negative thing. And summer is great, so therefore it's a positive thing. But all these things are just conditions, are just facts, right? It's not like whenever it rains, some people are super happy it rains. Like a farmer's great and very thankful that it rained. Yep. But then someone else, it might be raining on their wedding day, for example. It's both the same conditions. It's just looking at it from two different perspectives. Right. And so I think it's also important to know that like all of these things are objective and subjective to your interpretation. So like the conditions are just the conditions, and like what you do with that is completely on you. Yeah. And it, again, all goes back to your mindset. Absolutely. So yeah, enjoy the good times, but you also have to realize like what's making it a good time, probably your perception. Yeah. To someone, a good time, like a summer or a fall, might be making $10,000 a month. Right. To someone else, that might be a winter.
Right.
That like your peak might be their valley, right? So like this is all relative. So I think when it comes to our emotions and our feelings, just taking a step back and looking at them from a more like analytical perspective can be really helpful, because like all of these things, like again, are just perceptions. Right. And so and feelings are just feedback. Feelings are all, that's all they are. They're just feedback. And so they're valuable. The feelings are usually, if you have a feeling of fear, that's your body knowing from your entire track record, like, hey, don't touch the hot stove. Like you learn the feedback, right, from these experiences. So feelings are valuable. But sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes they're not based on facts. So I think just like coming at it from a more like objective state is something that I have taken upon or been working on like in the last probably year or so. Because I remember one time at like in one of my jobs, like I wasn't closing deals. And so I was really like my entire life was down the dumps because I wasn't closing deals. And then someone told me, they were like, if like, is your entire happiness based on this one condition? Is your entire like purpose based on this one condition? I was like, oh crap, you're right. So like if I'm closing deals, I'm happy. And if I'm not closing deals, I'm unhappy. Like that's no life to live. Right. So like you just kind of have to use that as feedback to be like, okay, highs are high, lows are low, but you just need to maintain the same mindset. And you're not going to go through this roller coaster ride of emotions nearly to the degree that like you could, or a lot of people do. And I was one of them. So just knowing the highs and the lows are just going to come, and that's just part of life.
And it's part of life. It's part of it. Like you can't play the game if you're not willing to. And if you are and you're just content with like whatever happens to you, it's going to be really rough. You know, like you have to be proactive. And again, just like you were saying, like, what does this mean in abundance? If you're doing really well in your job and you're killing it, and it's been a couple of months and you've had steady, great income, hey, save up. If you're just recently married and you've got this honeymoon phase going on, hey, you know what? Maybe start couples therapy before you need it. Like, if one thing I've honestly learned, like, just prepare so you can have the tools to when war comes, like you're ready for battle, you know? And then that really doesn't throw you off as much as it would have if you weren't prepared.
100%. So what do you feel like would be your actionable takeaway? We always like to end this on an actionable takeaway. What would be your actionable takeaway for the audience, whether they're in a season of summer or fall, or they're in a season of winter? What would you advise?
I think a great way and a great quote to live by is, this too shall pass. So everything is transient. Don't get overly excited in the great times in life, and don't get overly depressed, because at the end of the day, it's a season and it will pass. And I think what we usually intend to do as humans when we're not aware of how big of an impact our emotions have on us, whenever you have the high highs and the low lows, you tend to really like make permanent decisions out of temporary emotions. Again, you're not always going to be in this state of mindedness, emotionally like depressed or overly happy. That's going to pass. So be mindful about the decisions you make in those seasons, and just make sure that they're not anchored to a temporary emotion. Like, don't let emotions control you. You have a control over your emotions. You just have to be aware of it, and again, put it into practice. But I just think find your common ground in every season and try to stick to it.
Like common ground, what do you mean by that?
Like a common ground, just like stick to this not overly excited but not overly depressed emotion. Obviously enjoy the happy times, right? But don't get too comfortable in them. And the same with depression. Like, go through your depression, but don't get comfortable in it. You'll never walk out of it, right? So I think that having a good balance
Just not getting too comfortable.
Not being comfortable in any season.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
Everything's transient.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I also think it's important to note, like, you can't have good times without the bad, and you can't have bad times without the good.
Absolutely.
So, like, if we were just happy all the time, our happiness really wouldn't be, we wouldn't appreciate it because we wouldn't know what the hard times look like.
Like, that's not life.
Exactly. But, like, I think it's really important to note that, like, that contrast in the highs and the lows is, like, to me, what makes life worth living.
Right.
Right? Is, like, knowing that better is coming, or just coming from a place of appreciation. Because if you were just given this sunshiny life, you wouldn't appreciate it because you haven't been in the depths, right? You haven't gone through winter. So, like, you wouldn't be feeling the warmth on your skin in the sunshine like I did yesterday on my walk, because in Kentucky it's 30 degrees.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, it feels so good.
Yeah.
But you're not necessarily going out and basking in the sun every day because you don't experience a lot of cold like I do.
Correct. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, like, knowing, just, like, being appreciative of each season that you're in, and just knowing that, like, it's intentional. It's life. And it's temporary. This too shall pass.
It's not going to last forever. Yeah. I think that's a great takeaway.
100%. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in and for watching. I have a big favor to ask. If you found value from this at all, please hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Go follow us on social media at The Good Seed Media. We're on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. And please share this with someone that you love. Like, if you found value or thought that maybe someone else could find value from this too, it might help them out. Just send them a reel, DM them a reel. Like, that's how we grow. So we would really, really appreciate that. If you could also leave us a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this, YouTube even, that also helps us grow a lot. So we really appreciate y'all for tuning in, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Bye, guys.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow along with us on social media at The Good Seed Media. And stay tuned for all the updates and more information.